With every revolution that occurred in history, there's always been a reaction from the people and government reforms directed towards the revolution.
Prior to the Industrial Revolution, the majority of England's population lived in rural communities with farming as their fixed income. In these communities, life was difficult due to 1. Low incomes, 2. Heights of disease, and 3. Production of all personal goods. Since most people lived in rural communities, most manufacturing occurred at home by the hands of families.
As one can see, life prior to the Industrial Revolution was quite dismal. The desire for change gradually developed into the Industrial Revolution. However, such desire wasn't the root cause of the revolution. Some of the factors that contributed to the revolution were the development of a larger workforce, extensive natural resources, and the increase in the country's capital.
So how exactly did all of these factors occur? It's not like they just happened out of nowhere, right? The development of a larger workforce in Britain came with the increase in the percentage of children who live past infancy. This is because the spread of disease lessened. Not only that, many small farmers moved on to jobs in the cities because of the scientist farmers building enclosures. As for the natural resources, Britain already had a surplus of natural resources that were required for the industrialization. Not only that, Britain received a lot of resources from the colonies that they had control over. However, Britain's colonies didn't just provide a prodigious supply of natural resources. The colonies also allowed international trade with Britain, which in turn increased the capital of the country. In addition, the trade with the colonies encouraged the production of manufactured goods.
In Britain, one can see the effects of the Industrial Revolution prevalent in the textile industry. This is because many machines were invented to speed up the production of various fabrics. Such inventions include the spinning jenny, spinning mule, and the power loom. These inventions improved the efficiency of weaving cloth.
Though the textile industry showed much improvement during the industrialization, there were many other industries that benefited from the period in time. Such industries included transportation and the production of materials. One can see the production of materials becoming more efficient as people found a better way to produce cast iron and inexpensive steel. As for the transportation industry, the development of the first steam engine occurred, which enabled its use for various locomotives, machinery, and ships.
With the Industrial Revolution well underway, Britain's prodigious capital expanded even more with various events. Such events include the establishment of a stock exchange. Not only that, some people in Britain advocated the ideal economic system. A prime example of such includes the publishment of The Wealth of Nations, where Adam Smith discusses an economic system that lacks government interference and includes free enterprise and the private ownership of production methods.
Like any other revolution that occurred in history, the ideas of the revolution spread across the globe. At first, this was met with opposition from the British as Parliament wrote laws to prevent the export of any developed technology during the time period. However, it's obvious that this failed, as the ideals of the revolution spread to other European countries and the US. As seen to this day, the Industrial Revolution was proven successful for these regions. This eventually led to the United States becoming the lead industrial nation.
As a result of rapid industrialization, British society changed permanently. Culture, social status, infrastructure, and economy all were rewritten from the ground up.
Not everyone was content with the changes caused by the Industrial Revolution. Artisans who were replacing their industries by mechanized processes, such as weavers, were often quite outspoken, sometimes even violent. In response to the boom of factories that destroyed their traditional craft, they rallied together, anonymously warning factory owners to shut down their enterprises. When these warnings fell on deaf ears, they attacked the factories, demolishing machines.
In response to the raids, Parliament passed a law in 1812, making the destruction of industrial machinery punishable by death. After major Luddite successes, factory owners and government officials took further measures. They dispatched troops to guard factories and illegalize Luddite membership. Special tribunals were created to track down Luddites, often through espionage and bribery. These common reactions laid a foundation for an alliance between the aristocratic British government and the industrialists. Throughout this episode, we are reminded that this age of industrialization, while creating new industries and fueling economic growth, targeted and ostracized those who clung to the old ways.
While a plethora of advances were born out of the Industrial Revolution, just as many hurdles were bred. Child labor, poor public health, and etc. plagued Britain's industrialized zones for the following generations. In response to these negative effects, a small group of writers and philanthropists designed and implemented, or attempted to, a new ideal social order through utopian communities. A few of these communities aimed to fabricate a cooperative environment to combat the individualistic, competitive, and exploitative capitalist society Britain had become. They would have dignified working conditions, appropriate treatment towards women and children, and in some, a socialist system, and an economic system focused on equality between all classes in society.
The period of child labor did not last long, not long at all. The beginning of its end starts with the government's response to it, the Factory Acts.
In 1832, Parliament set up a commission to investigate child labor in factories. After learning of the conditions, they passed the Factory Act of 1833 to regulate excessive child labor. The act limited the amount of time per day children could work. This was actually the first government regulation of the industrial workplace that was put into effect.
That being, it was resisted by factory owners who disliked it because it would lower efficiency, increase the cost of their products, and lower competitiveness. In addition, parents worried about the reduced income and how they'd fare without the same amount of money that they had.
Going into detail about the Factory Act, it specifically stated that employers had to have an age certificate for children employees, children younger than 9 couldn't work in factories, children between 9 and 13 couldn't work for more than 9 hours per day, children between 13 and 18 couldn't work for more than 13 hours a day, children can work at night, and 4 factory inspectors will be appointed to investigate thousands of factories throughout England and enforce this law. As the government regulated child labor, they also started to set up a public school system alongside it.
There was also a response to the challenges of public health. Doctors, lacking proper education, bled patients, consulted astrology, and generally did more harm than good. Those practices soon became useless in the population-dense working-class neighborhoods of the industrial cities. The new industrial cities, due to the poor sanitation, became breeding grounds for diseases.
Eventually, however, healthcare improved through advances in science and technology which had a focus on prevention and curing. Reliable scientific research and experimentation established a professional medical community. The British government also aided in improving public health by passing regulatory laws to reduce disease in the working class.
One such regulatory law was the Public Health Act of 1848, which set up local health boards, investigated sanitary conditions throughout the nation, and established a general board of health. The local boards would ensure that water supplies were safe to consume.
In the later passed 1875 Public Health Act, the government took more responsibility for the health of the people, adding housing, sewage, drainage, and contagious diseases to its list. Over the course of the 19th century, life expectancy increased because of advances made in medicine and public health procedures. Despite the efforts of the government to make industrialization more palatable, critics of the Industrial Revolution sought to overthrow the capitalist system entirely. That, however, is a tale for another day.